Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Brandy Walker. If you don't know me, I think most of you do. They're on this call, but I'm a Sapphire Ambassador, and Randy Underwood is an Emerald Ambassador, and we have been talking a lot lately about what it means to be a servant leader. And we felt like this was something that was really important that that we share some things that we've learned along the way, because this is I think maybe it comes natural to some people and some people it doesn't. And we've both had to do a lot of self-development and a lot of learning as we go, which most of you will probably do as well. And so we just wanted to kind of get on and just go over some tips and some things that we have learned, and just kind of go from there, because I think to grow your team and to grow as a person, this is something that's super, super important. So without further ado, Randy's going to go first, and she's going to talk about some things that she's learned, and then I will go. So, okay, Randy.
All right. Hey, everybody. Good evening. You guys, just bear with me. I just got LASIK on Monday. My vision's still a little bit blurry, so I'm going to be looking at my notes a bit, but I might not be able to read it as well. So I was going to start this call with, what does it mean to be a servant leader? And so if you guys want to write this down, it's obviously focusing on the needs of others, especially your team members, before you consider your own. An example of that obviously is going to be, if you're shooting to go, your goal and you're shooting to shoot for senior gold, it's focusing on them. Who can I get to silver? Who can I get to gold to get me to and it's going to automatically happen to get you to your next goal. So we always want to focus on our teammates, helping them out, and everything's naturally going to kind of fall into place for you. A servant leader works tirelessly to develop his or her people and is focused on what they can do for others. It's about giving without the expectation of receiving. Developing people, treating them with respect, and encouraging their talents and their input. And it's about focusing on identifying and meeting the needs of others rather than trying to acquire power, wealth, and fame for themselves. I don't think I haven't seen many on our team that do that, but that's the definition of a servant leader. So now this doesn't mean that you're going to want to focus on your team. You're going to want to focus on helping them with their goals. This doesn't mean that you want to fully focus on them so much that you're letting your own personal IPA suffer, or your own personal business. Even as so you're going to need to find that balance no matter what. But even as an Emerald Ambassador, even as Brandy as a Sapphire Ambassador, even Julie as a Diamond Ambassador, one of the things we still do is we still have those goals like you guys do. We still have the goals of adding 3. We still have our goals of reaching out to 5 a day. That should never end. You want to make sure that you're always growing as wide as possible, no matter where you are in this business. So make sure you're setting that time aside for yourself. But the rest, like I said, it's going to fall into place as long as you're focusing on the needs of your team. So I'm just going to ask you guys, if I took 5 minutes to talk to your team about the thoughts of you as a leader, what would they say? That's just something to think about. Would they say that you are a servant leader? Ask yourself, am I truly working to serve the people around me, or for personal gain? If the answer is personal gain, try to begin, focusing more this way, because it is, like I said, it's going to naturally just fall into place when you start focusing on others. And so I'm going to sit here and talk to you guys about, all right, never mind. Continuing on right there real fast. We all find ourselves thinking about ourselves all the time. It's human nature. It's natural for us to be thinking about ourselves. I feel like that's something that I always have to switch the focus. Okay, this isn't about me. This is about them. How can I help them, not myself, right? When you find yourself, comparing yourself to others, what do you do? What do you have to do? You know how we always tell you guys, don't compare yourself to others' journeys. This is your journey, your personal one. You have to always get your focus off. It's the same kind of thing with being a servant leader, just making sure that you're always focused on them. I always get myself back on track, like I told you guys, by saying, who can I get to silver? Who can I get to gold? And I'm reaching out to my team on a monthly basis, the very beginning, the end of the month and the very beginning of the month. But the very beginning of the month is when we're getting on calls, and we're either individually or we're getting on a team call together, and we're talking about, okay, what is your goal? Let's map this out and come up with an action plan to get you there, to help you reach your goals. So how can I be a servant leader as a Plexus ambassador? These are some ways that I'm just going to talk to you guys about, things that I have done to focus on my team, to, to help in that way. Instead of spending your time defining expectations for your team, we want to spend it identifying how you can support them, finding their strengths, finding their color. And I think Brandy might go into more detail about the colors. But for her business and for my business, that was a turning point. You have to know your team. You have to know what colors they are, and you have to know what their strengths are in order to help them grow. When you have an idea, present it to your team, okay? We're in this together. We're not in this alone. We're called a team for a reason. So we want to make sure that everyone is a part of it. Ask for feedback rather than telling your team what to do. What was it? None of this is about you. This is all about them. This is about your teammates. This is about your customers. Do you want to get them healthy? Do you want to help them succeed in this business if that's what they want? Then don't hold back. Hold their hand if you need to. You know, there's going to be some people you're going to need to hold their hand a little bit more than others. You need to help them succeed. You know, if you have a customer that signed up and they're taking the triplex and all of a sudden they fall off the triplex and they're just taking Slim, why are they just taking Slim? Are we just going to let them and say, oh, they quit the other products and not say anything to them? We need to help get them back on track. You know, so that's one of the things that you guys want to really focus on in your team. Don't just kind of let them sit out. Make sure that you are figuring out, asking questions, figuring out how to help them. How can we have them fall in love with these products like I love them? We know that these products are life-changing, and we know that this business is life-changing. So we need to make sure that everyone who is willing to give it the time and the effort and the consistency to succeed with these products and with this business. Tell them to, okay, so this is another thing. Again, Brady's going to talk a little bit more about all of this, but tell them to find the answers they're going to need to learn on their own as leaders, right? So if you are taking control, and this is something I was doing at the very beginning, I was taking control of everything because I naturally am a control freak, and was giving people answers constantly. But if you're constantly doing that, they're never going to learn on their own. So you want to make sure that you are showing them where to find certain things and, you know, how to grow as a leader, and telling them how did you do this? How did you get where you are? So teach them in a simple way how to follow the steps. We want them to want to be a part of something bigger, okay? Show excitement. You know, that's part of your team page. You know, we need to keep that excitement there. We need to show that team culture. We need to show that we are a team and we're doing this together, and that this is simple, right? Don't overcomplicate things. The most important thing is to duplicate and keep things as simple as possible. And if you can't figure out how to do that, go to your team leader for help for that, for us to help you a little bit better and get yourself organized to understand how very, very simple this is. Because if you're not keeping it simple, your team's obviously not, and then you're going to get stuck. Follow up often. Follow up often, great customer care. Follow up often with your teammates, but also follow up often with your customers, your wholesalers. Just because they signed up wholesale, and especially if they're a customer before and they upgraded to be a wholesaler, doesn't mean that, you know, just because they've been consistent with the products for a few months and they're doing great, doesn't mean we just leave them in the dust. We need to make sure that we are taking care of every single person. You know, main people, no matter what, is your level ones. You take care of your level ones, and then obviously our level 1 through 3s are the ones we take care of for the business. But as far as like customer care, make sure you're taking care of those people you directly signed up, and your people should follow and do the exact same thing to make sure that everyone's being taken care of. You'll want to educate and explain why they need to give this a consistent effort and time. Before they sign up, they verbally commit to you they want to give this time. And so this is kind of, sorry, I'm kind of going back to something I was just talking about, but they only order the triplex, and then a month later they order Slim, only Slim. Why? Like, let's not just let them just give up and quit. You guys, they were super excited about this when they signed up to try Plexus. Why are we letting them quit after only 30 days? We have to let them know from the very beginning that they have to give us a consistent effort. And just even if they give it 60 to 90 days, that doesn't mean that they're going to feel miraculous in 60 to 90 days. That's just the minimum amount of time we want them to give, right? So you need to help them, hold their hand, help them find that, that way to be consistent with their products, help them fall in love with those products. Again, this is not about you. We shouldn't get upset when they don't have that 100 PV on or their subscription on. Obviously, there's something that we don't need to think they just quit. We need to focus on them and work with them and figure out, okay, why did they turn off their subscription? Okay, why are they only ordering Slim right now? Maybe we can get them to try X Factor next. Figure out what's going on. What are the symptoms they're dealing with? So we should be more focused on getting them back on track to help them succeed. As far as your team, pray over your team. That is one thing that I'm always doing, is making sure that every day, and this is something I do every morning when I get up, is I pray for my team. I pray for a lot of things, and I have to start with my Bible. So that's just one thing that I do. And I actually I forgot to, I want to share you guys some books, but this is one of my favorite books. It's called The Leadership Lessons of Jesus by Bob Brenner and Ray Pritchard. So it's a great book to have. And while I'm at it, I meant to share these other two as well, by James Hunter. The World's Most Powerful Leadership Principle, How to Become a Servant Leader. And his other one is The Servant, A Simple Story About the True Essence of Leadership. So these are great leadership books if you guys want to get started in reading those. Brandy and I will always talk about how we're constantly learning through books and through videos, and those are some great books to go ahead and go buy. I can write them down too if you guys didn't have a chance to write it down or if I spoke too fast. So show your team how to duplicate and follow your steps. Brady's going to get more in detail about that with duplication, but that's things as simple as making sure that you're adding to all the team pages. You're adding them to the three-way chats, right? Making sure that we're following that way. We're adding to not just like my team page, but I'm having my team add to Brady's team page as well, or Julia's team page, right? We want to show our team to how to set their goals, okay? You want to make sure that they are breaking them down and they have an action plan to get there. Okay, if you need help with that, get your team leader to help you with that too, until you're at that place where you feel like you can do this on your own with your team. But one of the most important things is setting goals, not just goals, but breaking them down. You can't set goals and say, okay, I have someone on board and they say, I want to be a diamond. Okay, well, if they're not even silver, how are they going to get to a diamond? That's just way too far of a goal to reach. So we need to break it down smaller. What is their goal per week? What is their goal per month? What is our goal right now, obviously, is to get them silver. Once they hit silver, what's our next goal? What's our next step? And one thing that I feel that's been helping, I'm just going to bring this up, that's been helping with my team lately and what we started doing is, ever since Plexus did the Super Silver thing last month, the Super Silver incentive, we are continuing on with that. So, and just doing our own thing and making sure that, because to jump from 3 ambassadors to 20 is a huge step for some. So once they get to silver, we want to get them next to super silver, because that's only adding 7 more. And that's going to be a lot easier to focus and say, okay, I want to get my silver, or I want to get this person underneath me to silver. There's 3, I get my 3, there's 6, almost there, right? So they're able to get there. And then they only need 10 more to get to gold instead of jumping from 3 to 20. So that's a way to simply, simplify things and do baby steps with the goals. And teach them that they want to focus on their person. Because at the very beginning, I think we are all focused on ourselves. How am I going to get to silver? How am I going to get to gold? You can get to gold by yourself, yes, but it's much easier and much quicker and much more fun to do it with a team and getting them to silver and helping them reach their goals. So if you can do it that way and have them focus and teach them from the very beginning, I just got someone on board with me, great, let's get them to silver. So you get to silver, they get to silver, and you guys are just growing together. And it just makes it way more fun that way. Keep things simple, lighthearted, fun. Otherwise it's not going to be fun if things aren't, if they're not simple. People are going to give up on this. So if you guys aren't keeping it simple on your page and you're not keeping things organized and teaching them how to duplicate and how to do this in a very simple way, people are going to say, I can't do this. I don't have time for this. But if we're keeping it so simple and we have these easy checklists and things for them to do and just easy steps, and we're doing everything the same way, with every single person, we're going to have more people jumping on board with us and wanting to do this with us. If they're seeing that things are fun on the page and they see us interacting a lot and we have this amazing team culture, they're going to want to jump on board with us. Because, you know, I'm one of those people where I didn't want this as far as business. I didn't want it for the money. I wanted to help others when I started sharing at the beginning. And the thing that kept me here the most and that I love the most is I desperately needed the friendships. And the friendships has been the most amazing part for me when it comes to this. So I think that there's a lot of people out there that are missing out on that desperately need that. And if they're seeing that on our pages and we're creating that amazing culture, they're going to jump on board. But again, we have to keep it simple, because if we're not keeping it simple for them, it's going to be hard for them to duplicate and they're going to give up. People want a sense of community, as I just mentioned, whether they are wholesalers or working ambassadors. So they want to feel included in things as well. So we want to make sure that, you know, one of the things, I'm just going to kind of put this out there, one of the things that I felt that my team was doing was we were starting so many team pages so early on, to the point where we were losing our team culture. And so there was no interaction on the post, right? Because when you're breaking it up, you've got this one team page, and then you break it up. You got a little interaction here, a little interaction on this page, a little bit on this page, a little bit on this page. So something to consider is, you know, you want to make sure you're working together as a team. You want to make sure that you're showing your teammates as leaders when they hit goals, helping them.
From Coach Tony.
What?
I'll mute her.
Okay. Sorry, I thought someone was.
Okay, you'll have to unmute yourself, Randy. But sorry.
No, it's okay. I thought someone was asking a question, so I stopped. Where was I at? I just got distracted. I don't know what I was saying. Okay. Okay, yeah. So I was talking about how you're going to want to help that person that just went gold, help them shine as a leader. Steps that they need to take next. How are they going to become a better, more effective leader? How are people going to see them as a leader? So that's just giving them, helping them out. And, you know, for one, you need to give up. If you're a control freak, you have to give up your control, guys, and you have to let them be a part of this. They need their chance to develop as leaders as well. So give them chances to maybe run team calls with you. You know, like I said, if you know their strengths and say you are a great recruiter, I think it would be awesome if you do a call. And I'll do it. I'll run it on side of you, so they're not, you know, completely nervous having to run this call completely by themselves. But have them talk about something that they're great at and they're passionate about, and that is their complete strength. Posting on the team page. Have them post. They don't need to start a team page like that as soon as they hit gold. Have them share with you and start posting on your team page. Because the moment they go ahead and just run off, there might be no excitement on their team page for a while, and they feel all alone all of a sudden. They're excited, they got themselves to gold, and then they're like, okay, now there's no interaction on my page. And they end up quitting because they aren't even excited about it anymore. So, you know, you want to develop them as leaders and help them before, you know, they kind of just go off on their own. Let's help them in those ways, share their strengths, and help them by posting on the team page and running calls and whatnot. So show the love for your teammates. You guys, I think this is more important than anything. This is most definitely important when it comes to being a servant leader, is showing them, investing in them. Give them your time. Okay, I know we can't give everybody our time, and that's why, obviously, you know, your main focus is your level 1s and then your level 1 through 3s. Any of your runners, though, if someone comes to me and they're my level 5, 6, whatever, I'm going to give them my time. If they come to me and they ask me a question and they need help, I'm going to give them my time. I give my sidelines time. There are people who come to me who are my sidelines. It's not going to benefit me in any possible way. But if they need help, I'm going to help them. They come to me, they ask me, hey, will you get on a call with me? I will get on a call with them and help them in any possible way that I can. So spend time connecting with not only your team, but spend time connecting with your sidelines. Your sidelines are the ones that you're going to connect with very well, especially the ones that, you know, if you're a Ruby and they're a Ruby, you're usually moving up around the same time, and it's, you know, it's just more fun that way. And you have great ideas outside of your team that they can share with you, and you share with each other. And I don't think I could get through this without having those sideline partners on top of having, obviously you need an amazing upline, an amazing team, but those sideline partners are great as well. So talk to, as far as, your relationships with your teammates. It doesn't stop the second they sign up as an ambassador. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of them, not just obviously about the products, but it doesn't mean you just all of a sudden just stop being their friend. Talk to them about non-work related topics, okay? Show genuine interest in them, get to know them even more, and build that relationship even more. We're sitting here and we're talking to people through Facebook, and they're coming on board with us with Plexus. Maybe this is someone who reached out to me about Plexus, but I haven't talked to them in 10 years. I still need to build that relationship, because if they're feeling no sense of community and they're not feeling the love from me, they're probably also, even if the products, they're doing, well on the products, they might jump off board with it because they're not feeling included. They're not feeling special. They need that. So show your team that you care. It could be something as small as a $5 gift card to their favorite store, or offering a kind word when they experience a personal trauma. Someone has, and this is something I'm trying to actually get better about too, is birthdays. We want to make sure, especially every single person on our team's birthdays, we want to make sure that we are sending them a birthday message, or maybe even a card, or sending them a small gift card, even if it's a $5 gift card to Starbucks. Someone has a death in the family, obviously sending them flowers, guys. Showing you that you love and care about them. And this is not just about the fact that they are a business builder underneath you. Do shout outs for your team's effort and their hard work. Yes, they added 3. Awesome. You guys, they reached this part of the contest for they won the winner's dinner for convention. Awesome. But that doesn't mean that we can't talk about the others that are also accomplishing their goals. It doesn't matter if it's not something as big as winner's dinner or the gala. We need to make sure that we are focusing on giving everybody a shout out, especially the ones for consistent effort. You're usually going to see those shout outs for the rock stars. Oh, they added 10 ambassadors this month. And then the ones who are super consistent that are adding 3 every single month, they are just as impressive. And we need to make sure we're letting them know that, and that we're proud of them, and that they're doing an amazing job. And so one thing I want to implement, our team should want to implement on our team page, is we're trying to do daily things. So like Wellness Wednesday, Motivation Monday, Testimony Tuesday, Shout Out Saturday could be a perfect day to do those shout outs for our team members. As far as being a servant leader, being a great listener is probably the number one thing, and having great communication. So listen to your team and make sure that you're listening well. Meet with all levels of your team. Let everyone feel important and to be a part of something. Let them, make decisions with them. Don't just make decisions on your own and say, hey guys, this is how I'm running the team. This is what we're doing. So have a leaders thread. This is something that I have a specific leaders thread. Brady has her golden above thread. She has, several different threads. But I think it's extremely important, once they hit a certain rank to let them, not only to let them feel special, but also that's going to help them duplicate what to do, what you do. I already said that. Okay. Don't reinvent the wheel. You guys, this is probably the thing that, I'm a red. I'm red and yellow, but the red overtakes a lot of the times. And at the beginning, I was trying to think of all my own ideas, and it doesn't mean you can't think of your own ideas and you can't be creative and do other things. But there's certain things that we have been taught by Brandy, by Julia, by Angie, by Ellen, all the way up, Andrea, Roz, Celeste. That what they did, they are diamonds for a reason. Brandy's a sapphire for a reason, because they're not reinventing the wheel. They all did the exact same thing. So you need to trust the process. It obviously works. Do not reinvent the wheel, whatever you do, because it will get you off track and it'll get you stuck. So that's what I got there, Brandy.
That's awesome, Randy. Thank you so much. I love always hearing your take on things. You have such a business sense, and that's not something that comes natural to me. So I love listening to you and all your tips. I actually took some notes myself, so I always I love learning from even the leaders on my team because we have some incredible people. And it just, I don't know, I just like getting different ideas from different people because I definitely didn't get here by myself. So anyway, I don't have notes on my screen like Randy does, but I do have several pages of notes. And I don't want to, beat a dead horse and talk about all the exact same things that she did, but I just want to tell you a little bit. Some of you know my story and some of you don't. When I came into Plexus, I was a complete introvert. I was a military spouse, obviously, and I've lived all over the place, so that kind of helped a little bit. But leading people was, excuse me, was not something that just came natural to me. Now, I am a yellow-blue. I do have a little touch of red and green in there, but so I do naturally like to help people. But that doesn't necessarily mean I was a servant leader. So I just want to, just kind of go over some things. Once I had people join my team and they wanted to start, sharing the business, I quickly realized that this was not all about me. This was about me helping people with success on the products and obviously success with their own businesses, not just me ranking up. And when I started focusing on helping my team members, reach their goals, then the rank ups just naturally happened for me. So that is something that I cannot stress to you enough. And Randy already talked about it. So like I said, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but helping your team members to reach their goals is the quickest and easiest way for you to rank up. People see right through that whenever you're just constantly focusing on yourself. Oh, you can help me rank up. Nobody wants to do that. I mean, obviously, when you're hitting big ranks like Emerald and Sapphire and Diamond, I mean, that's a different ballgame. When you're trying to reach Silver and Gold and Senior Gold, people want to know what's in it for them. I mean, that's just kind of a question that you should always ask yourself. What is in it for them? Have you ever tried to fix a problem? And, it would have taken something very simple to complete this task. But, the thing is, there was a tool out there that would help you accomplish your problem or, whatever task it was very, very quickly and simple. But the only problem is you had no idea that tool exists. And if you did, you just had no idea how to use it. So I just want to tell you a little quick story. Back whenever we lived in Italy, just a couple of years ago, my family, as y'all know, we're military, so we went on a little trip to Croatia. And my family, if y'all haven't seen on Facebook, they are very, very adventurous, and not so much. But I kind of go along. And back then, I was doing CrossFit and all this, fitness stuff. And I was like, I can keep up with my kids. I can do whatever they want to do. And they were jumping off 80-foot cliffs. And Brandy Walker's not jumping off an 80-foot cliff. However, I was going to jump off this probably 10 or 15-foot cliff. And we all had snorkels. And they wanted us to go snorkeling. So I was like, I can do that. I mean, the water was super, super choppy. And it was beaten up against rocks. And if you can imagine, Croatia is absolutely beautiful. But it was pretty dang scary to me. And I was just sitting there, I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. And my kids are like, Mom, just put on the snorkel and just jump. And I was like, okay, I don't want my daughter to see me scared. So I did it. I just jumped in. The only problem is they did not tell me, and this is probably common knowledge to y'all, but they didn't tell me that you need to blow out your snorkel. And so I almost drowned, y'all. I sucked in all this water and I was floundering around, almost drowned Gracie. It was horrible. It was awful. But, if they'd have just told me that one simple little thing, then I probably would have almost drowned. The day wouldn't have almost been ruined. Actually, wasn't ruined. We had a great time. But it was terrifying to me. So if they would have just told me that simple little thing, or maybe if they'd have just asked that one little question, then it would have been a whole lot easier. And my whole point of this is that, never make assumptions that people understand what you're talking about or that they know what you mean whenever you say reach out to people. Or, whenever you say, oh, great, you have a new customer. Well, that's great. Well, add them to team pages, do this, do that. Excuse me, y'all, they need a systematic way to do things. And it's your job as a servant leader, even if you don't want to be a servant leader, y'all, it's your job to make sure that they have the simple tools that we've laid out there, to be a successful member of our team, even if they're just a wholesale ambassador. We have a letter It's in the albums on my team page, but it's just a simple letter. It's just called Plexus Info Letter or Plexus Cliff Notes. And, you know, when you have a brand new person that joins and they want to sell, you need to make sure that they have a copy of that letter, because I'll tell you, when I joined, I spent days like trying to recreate this letter and everything. And I finally just asked Julia, I was like, is there anything out there? She's like, oh yeah, girl, I got that. I'm like, oh, I could have saved like 3 days, you know? So just make sure that they have certain things when they first start. Make sure that they have wording. Now, this is so important. Some people, like I said, it comes super natural to them to know how to just cold message people, know how to get on the phone. They know how to respond, you know, when somebody asks them what is Plexus. Yeah, we have wording for that. And if you don't know what those, if you haven't used them yourself, sorry, there's bugs out here, then just ask your upline or ask me, because we have simple little paragraphs that you can just keep in the notes on your phone. You copy and paste it, and it just makes it so simple. But, you know, my point is just when you bring somebody in this business, make sure that they have those very simple steps so that they don't feel like they're just a fish out of water and just like floundering around and trying to figure out what the heck to do, because it can be very frustrating. And like Randy said, people will, you know, 9 times out of 10, people are busy and they will quit if they don't feel like they have something that, you know, a system in place. You know, I've always heard Celeste and a lot of other people use that acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And Randy was just talking about that. We've got to keep this process simple. You know, she was talking about being creative, and I want each of you to always be creative and to always use your own style whenever you're being a leader, because you're not me, you're not Randy, you're not Lisa, you know, you're you, and that's what we want you to be. However, there are certain steps that you need to follow to make sure that, you know, your team's successful. You know, if you found a better way and it's working better, I'm not saying we can't use it, but we do have a tried and true system. Another thing is make sure, you know, they have those things, but make sure that they know how to navigate the team pages. I don't know about your team pages, but I know on mine, if you go to the albums, all these things I'm talking about, they're already there. And I think a lot of people just don't even know. They don't even go look. And all that stuff is just already saved. It's so simple. You just go on there and look. Or you can teach them when you add them to our threads, how to find, and I'm hoping that most of you know this, when you pull up a thread and you go to the top and it says Brandy's Runners, you can click on Brandy's Runners and then scroll all the way down to the bottom, and every graphic that's ever been posted in that chat thread is there. So that's another way to just teach people how to find things. You know, also, you know, treat people how you want to be treated. You know, whenever you join this business, I'm personally somebody that I'm not going to ask questions almost ever until I have exhausted every single effort. Most people are not like that. Most people want stuff just kind of, you know, spoon-fed to them. And I know sometimes, like Brandy said, as a red personality or maybe even like a green personality, maybe that does not come natural to you and it annoys you maybe to have to, you know, I'm not saying that you can annoy Brandy. I'm just saying that, you know, maybe that's just, it just annoys you to have to hold people's hands. But y'all, that's what being a servant leader is. And if you want to have a successful team, you have to, you know, hold people's hands. Now, I'm not saying that you have to hold their hands indefinitely. There does come a point that you can show them where to find things, which you should be showing them from the very get-go where to find things. But obviously, if they keep asking you the same question over and over, then you can just say it's on my team page, or, you know, if you can't find it, then come back. I think you're doing an injustice when you get to a certain point if you're not teaching them where to find things on their own, because they eventually need to, you know, teach their own team the same thing. You know, Randy talked about shout outs as well. And I think this is huge. When I first joined, I don't really feel like I'm the type of person that really needs the shout outs. I don't think about it as much, and I'm probably not as good at that as I should be personally, just because it's probably not my love language. But a lot of people do need that. I think it's so, so important that we're doing shout outs for our team. When I first joined, I think my first couple of days, I added like 8 people. I mean, that was pretty exciting. And Julia did a shout out on her page for me. And I remember being on the road and I saw this, I was tagged in something. I was like, I told my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, she just like did a shout out. Like, I was so excited, y'all, as a brand new silver ambassador. That just really did something for me. So I think, you know, you may not realize just a little bit of encouragement for people goes a long way. You know, we also talked about looking at your motives as a leader. Why are you doing this business? You know, we have to go back to that. I write my why down all the time. I still go back to it. I know Randy does. I know Lisa does. You have to look at why you're doing this. If the only reason you want to do this is to be diamond, then you may be successful. I don't know, but there's got to be other reasons why you're doing this, why you're sticking to it. Now, obviously, everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to be diamond, make a ton of money, and, you know, go do all the trips and all that. But I just feel like, you know, there's got to be more to it. I think everybody wants to feel important and feel appreciated. I honestly couldn't tell you every single person's rank on my team because I don't focus on that very much. I do, obviously, I focus on when you get a certain rank, but in the beginning, Randy was talking about my threads, and I think most of you are on at least my runner's thread. I've got a runner's thread. I've got a Brandy's 133 thread. I've got a gold and above thread. But that runner's thread, you know, in the beginning, it was just like my level ones. And then we started adding people to it. And I really started realizing that, you know, every single person, because I didn't get added to any kind of thread like that until I was gold, y'all. No, I had the only person I had to ask anything was Julia, and she was super busy. So as you can imagine, I mean, I had a lot of questions sometimes that went unanswered. But I think that's why that was important to me, is to add people to that Brandy's Runners. Like the first day they say they want to sell, I say add them to it. You know, teach them how they can turn the notifications off so their phone doesn't drive them crazy, but just getting plugged in and having a place where they realize they're not the only one that's asking questions. Because sometimes you can feel kind of dumb. I mean, honestly, when I first joined, sometimes I'm like, God, am I that stupid that I can't figure out how to find the phone number to customer service? I mean, just simple things that I really did not ever want to ask because I didn't want to look stupid. But it would have been a simple thing to just go on that thread and ask, you know. So I think that's really important to get people plugged into that. So, you know, it also helps you that because there's a place 24 hours a day they can go ask a question. So for me, having a place, you know, when my team's in full momentum like that, you know, sometimes I get 100 messages a day. And that really, really helps me when I've got a busy day or I've got something else I can't answer questions. There's always somebody that can answer. We already talked about shout outs, and I want to talk about gifts and contests. If you are not running contests, hear me when I say this, you need to be doing that. I feel like as a servant leader, you need to be able to challenge your team. Y'all, there are some people that will only do this for challenges. They will only do it for a prize. And I don't know why that is. I'm not that way personally. But I have so many people on my team that work for challenges, and they'll work for a cup, y'all. They work for a keychain. They work for $100. It doesn't matter what it is, but they will work for it. And, you know, every time you get paid, I'm not saying you have to go broke spending money, but there should be a good percentage of your paycheck, especially in the beginning, if you can afford it at all, that goes back into gifts. I've done this from the very beginning. I spend a lot of money every month on prizes, and it's paid off. I can honestly say now I don't really have to think about it. In the beginning, I had to budget it out, you know, but now I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I mean, let's give away $200, you know. I mean, it will pay off for you in the long run, because you're going to find that, I'll use this example. When we went to Leaders Retreat, our first year, and I took a group of people to, what's that thing called, Randy? Where you're locked in that room. I forget what it's called.
Is the escape room?
Escape room, yes. I found out how competitive my team was when we went to escape room. I don't know if y'all even know what that is, but they lock you in this room and you get all these clues, and you know, you try to get to unlock the room so you can get out. But once you have to find a certain number of clues. And I realized that weekend that my team was super competitive. They wanted to work for prizes. I won't mention any names, but there are several of you that were very, very competitive. And I thought it was so cool, because that's not in me. I don't know. I wish it was. I wish I was more competitive that way. But you got to bring that out in your team. Make sure that you're building relationships outside of Plexus too. But help your team connect with each other, even if these people aren't in their downline. That's why it's important putting these people in in our threads and getting people to know each other, because I feel like sometimes we have people that maybe they're stuck, or maybe they, their journey hasn't gone as quickly as they wanted it to, but they stick around, y'all. They stick around because they love the friendships and they make genuine friendships. I know I have in these threads. I get to know people, and it doesn't matter what rank they are. If they, obviously everybody is on my team, but even in some of the threads that I'm in the Joel threads, I've made friends with these people, and they can do nothing for me. I can do nothing for them, but the relationships keep me wanting to strive and, continue to rank up, because it's just, I don't know, it's just really the coolest part of Plexus to me. Be an example, y'all. I cannot stress this enough. If you are not posting on your team page daily, and I don't mean just once a day, I mean 4 times a day, if you're not adding new people, get new customers, if you're not doing lives for your team, if you're not doing all these things that we're talking about, y'all, your team is not going to do it either. I mean, that they're just not. And maybe that's not necessarily a part of servant leadership, but I feel like it is. You're doing these things for your team because you're modeling what a leader should do. Even posting on your personal page, y'all. Everybody at this point in my Facebook, I've been doing it for 3 years. They all know I do Plexus. But I'm still getting new people. But a lot of the times I do it for my team, so they can see, what you should be posting or how you should be posting. Especially when I have new people. Obviously, whenever you get to be Joel level, you have a lot of people that follow you, and even if they never like or comment, they're going to go to your page and see what you do. So it is important for you to do those same things for your team. Self-development, Randy and I talked about that already. Gosh, I watch videos still every single day, y'all. I have not made it yet. I'm still Sapphire. I have not made it to Diamond yet. And I think even as a Diamond, I'll still be watching videos of other people every day. It inspires me. It helps me on days when maybe I'm having a down day, or maybe I'm having to rethink my why, because it does change that as you go. But self-development, and especially leadership development, y'all, if that does not come naturally, really don't. I mean, there are some people that it just comes naturally to, but for the most part, none of us have ever been a leader in an MLM. So I think this is a little bit different than a lot of businesses out there. So it's just important that you're constantly reading books and listening to podcasts and videos. Bob Helig right now is, if you're not following him, you should be. He actually, it closed today, he's doing a Legacy Leadership Academy that I just joined this week, but it ended, you can only join it till like 5 o'clock today, I think, but he'll open it up again in a couple months. But follow him, y'all. He is got so many good tips on leadership and, Facebook algorithms and a lot of different things. We talked about the colors and the personality colors. So if you have not actually studied up on the different colors, I think most of us have probably studied up on the colors that we are, but I can't stress to you how important it is to study up on the colors of your team members. Find out what their colors are, y'all. That was such a turning point for me when I found out what Randy's color was, all my level ones, what their color was. It really, sometimes maybe I get frustrated and I just couldn't figure them out, or like, what am I doing wrong? I started reading about, different colors, and, some of them could care less about getting recognized, and others, that's what they thrive on. Or just, some of them just want to be heard. Others just want to have fun. Others could care less about details. There's so many things about that. And it's important as a leader that you know what color your team members are. Even not necessarily your level ones, but anytime that you have, like, just ask them to take that little personality quiz. And maybe that's, a challenge you can run on your page. And so you can get to know what colors your team members are. Sometimes maybe people will just kind of back off a little bit, or, maybe like Randy said, they've turned their order off or you just can't figure it out. Y'all don't assume that they just don't want to be a part of it anymore. Talk to them. You got to keep communication open because you never know. Maybe their husband lost their job and they just literally cannot afford the products that month. Or maybe they just, I don't know, maybe they got their feelings hurt about something. It happens, y'all. Maybe you said something, you didn't even know you said it, or somebody else did, or maybe they got, upset about something. Find out. Sometimes all it takes is just a little bit of concern that you're showing to somebody, and they can just jump right back in. You really just never know. We always talk about, as a leader, you always want to be cheerful and you always want everything to seem like it's wonderful. Y'all, I really encourage you to be transparent too. Everything's not always 100% peachy. We have had some back office issues. Sometimes you're just having a bad day and you're just, maybe you just need to take a half a day and just regroup, that does not mean ever, ever, ever to complain to your downlines. Do not ever, ever, ever do that. I don't care if they are your best friend or your mom. Do not complain about this business to your downlines. So I cannot stress that enough. Even one day of negativity of you venting to somebody in your downline can just have just a really bad effect. Just take my word for that. Just don't ever do it. Like I said, even if they're your best friend, just don't do it. Everyone wins, when you're a better leader, the whole team wins. Sorry, my phone keeps going on. You're placed in these people's lives that are on your team. You're placed in their lives to teach them how to, how to have better health, how to show up to work, like actually show up to work every day. Y'all, this is a business. You cannot expect to post on a team page or do anything once a week and have a successful business. Because if you do that, your team is, it's just going nowhere. You're also there to help people overcome adversity. You're there to help them, to show them what teamwork looks like. Y'all, I think that's one reason our team has been so successful, because we do have teamwork. We are constantly, helping each other with comments and likes and, finding testimonies and just encouragement. And I think, that's your job, to bring your team together and to bring them together to the bigger teams too. Just kind of connect it. One of your jobs is to be a connector of people. And I love that. That's one of my favorite parts of Plexus. I just want to tell you another quick story about when years ago, I was in the Air Force. I don't know if any of y'all know that. I was in the Air Force for almost 8 years. But when I went to boot camp, I know y'all probably can't imagine that, but I did go to boot camp, and it was one of the best learning experiences of my life. I was an introvert when I joined Plexus, but oh my gosh, was I an introvert when I joined the Air Force. I literally cried all night long the night before. I could hardly even see out of my eyes whenever I got on the bus to go to boot camp that morning. It was just, I was like, what did I do? Oh my gosh, and our TI, our training instructor is what they called him back then. I think they call him something different now, but he put us through extremely, obviously, rigorous training. And you could call it some other things too. We all went to boot camp. All of us, there was like 50 of us in one flight, and we all went there with all different kinds of walks of life. Some rich, some poor, some classy, some trashy, some just every kind of person you can ever imagine in that flight. And he taught us. Well, most of us were obviously scared to death when we got there. We didn't know what to expect, and we had this TI who came in. He was this tall, dark, handsome guy. But man, he was hard, y'all. He was harder on us than any other flight. Most of the other flights, like when they had their hometown news release and they got their pictures made, they all got to put on makeup and they got to fix their hair. Y'all, we didn't even get to brush our teeth that day. We did not get to brush our teeth. My picture that was sent to my hometown was horrible. I actually had it pulled up today. I was going to show y'all, but I didn't get it pulled up to my screen. It was awful. But y'all, I learned so much from this guy. He trained us in such a systematic way that whenever we came out of basic training, like I said, we were all very unsure of ourselves. We, most of us had zero self-confidence when we got there. But he took me, who was a newlywed. I had married my high school sweetheart. I was a college dropout because I decided that college wasn't for me. I was going to join the Air Force. And someone that was completely unsure of just pretty much everything in my life at that point. He took me to somebody who I didn't know everything about the Air Force, but he taught me so many things in such a systematic way that when I graduated, and when all of us graduated, we respected that man more than we hated his guts to begin with, but we respected him more than anybody. I don't know. It was like we almost worshiped him whenever we got done. And he was so hard, y'all, but he taught us to believe in ourselves, and he taught us that we could do so much more than we thought we were capable of. And that, he taught us that we were trainable, we were coachable, and no matter what the Air Force threw at us at that point, after we graduated, because all of us were going off to all these different schools, we all had different jobs, and I was going off from San Antonio to Colorado. My husband was still in Louisiana. I was still scared to death, but I felt confident at that point. I felt like, okay, I can do this. They're going to teach me more things, but I feel confident enough that I can learn it without being scared, and I can actually teach it to somebody else at that point. So my whole point of this is, obviously, I do not want you to be a drill sergeant. I want you to be encouraging, and I want you to, spoon feed these people. But I also want you to have a duplicatable system that when you teach it to your downline, then they can teach it to their downline, and they can teach it to their downline. And there's no question about what should take place or what should happen. They're going to be confident, and if they don't know the answer to something, then you're going to teach them where to find the answer. So I don't know. I just think helping people to gain confidence about this business is part of being a servant leader, huge part of it. When you rank up, obviously Randy talked about that. You obviously want to focus more on how can you help your team to rank up? How can you help them reach their goals? I'm not going to beat that with a dead horse because we've already talked about that. As y'all know, this week or just last night, Barbara Bush passed away. That was really, really sad to me because I really respected her a lot, and I've always just watched her and her husband and how they ran the country, and how just their love for each other, their love for their family. And I was watching the news last night, and they talked about, Barbara Bush was just somebody you did not want to disappoint. I think that's kind of the same way with our teams. We don't, obviously we don't want people to be scared of us or scared, but we want them to have a respect for us, that they want to work because they don't want to disappoint you. Barbara Bush, one of her sayings was, never lose sight of the fact that the most important yardstick of your success will be how you treat other people, your family, friends, and coworkers, and even strangers you meet along the way. I think that's just the bottom line. It's just being a good person and treating people how you want to be treated. From the very beginning, whenever you bring somebody in this business, train them how you would have liked to have been trained. I'm not saying by any means that we're perfect or that we've done this the exact right way. We try, but we don't always get it right. But you have a chance to change that if you want to change it. Obviously, I still hope you keep our duplicatable steps. But just, keep in mind that people need your help. They're not always going to come. Nobody's going to come in this business knowing how to do this. Very, very rarely are you going to have anybody. If you do, that's awesome. But there's not many people out there that are like that. I'm just going to kind of recap what we talked about. Give wording when somebody joins your team. Help them with little paragraphs and just how to answer questions. Super simple things that they can copy and paste. Obviously, we want to get away from copy and pasting, but y'all, when people first start, they've got to have something to go by. They can change it, as they go, but, handhold. That's not always the most fun thing to do for some people. I love doing that, so it really doesn't bother me, but if that's not your strong point, I really want you to work on that. Let your people be creative and actually encourage it. I don't want y'all, if you've got a team page, I don't want you copying and pasting every single thing that, your upline posts. Don't copy and paste that to your team page. Y'all, people will get bored and unfollow your page just like that. Don't do that. Give genuine shout outs and genuine praise. Be available for your team, for your customers, for your wholesale ambassadors. Y'all, if they message you, please do not wait until, what is today? Tuesday? Wednesday? Please don't wait until Saturday morning to answer their questions. Y'all, they will have gone, they will forget about it. They have moved on by that point. I would say if you get, I know sometimes you have busy days, but try to not go to bed until you've answered questions from people. Or until you've told them where to go to get answers. Again, don't assume, anything. If you're unsure about something, y'all dig deeper, ask questions. I think that part of being a great leader is knowing what questions to ask. If you're unsure about that, y'all get with me, get with Randy, get with your upline, and we will help you figure out what questions to ask. If you're like, I don't even know what questions to ask, we can help you with that. Make sure that you know your team's whys. Y'all, that's important. If you don't know it, ask. Make a contest out of it. It's important for you to know why they're doing this. And obviously focus on the success of your team. Help them meet their goals. Meet them where they are, though. We don't want to push people if they're not ready. I can't stress that enough. I think for me personally, being pushed, being encouraged and maybe pushed out of my comfort zone a little bit is what I needed, but just being pushed to do this business, I wouldn't personally want that. So meet people where they are. If they're not ready to do it, don't make them, just find out what their goals are. If they only want to get their products paid for, that's cool. We can help them do that. And, you don't have to waste your time trying to train them to be diamond if they just want to get their products paid for. And y'all, last but not least, I can't stress this enough. Y'all, please remain humble. I feel like as a leader, Randy and I were discussing this earlier. As a leader, you're responsible for the growth of your team. You are definitely responsible. And I don't want to take away from anybody, anybody's team growth not being because of your leadership, because I truly believe that is super, super important. But you obviously didn't get there alone. I mean, you have a whole team. You can't get here alone. You just can't. So always remain humble and remember, these people are not just points. They're actual people, and they're not just numbers. They're your friends. They're people that you brought in this business. So, I think that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions? If you do, you can unmute yourself. Nobody? Randy, do you have anything to add?
What'd you say?
Have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that last part that you said, because we did mention it before, but it kind of goes together right there. Like you said, our team gets us here. Obviously, we can't do it without them. But the most important thing that you guys would want to focus on is personal and professional development. Like, I know my team got me here, but I also would not be here without that if I were not constantly learning. So I know we've already mentioned this, but I feel that is one of the most important things, is just to constantly learn to be a better leader. And like Brandy said, we're not perfect leaders. I'm still learning. But I know the reason why I'm here is because I was constantly doing that. I was constantly trying to figure out, how can I be better at this? How can I help my team? So.
Exactly. One more thing I wanted to add. I was just talking about Bob Helig and his legacy leadership group. Tina Carmine just texted me and told me there's 4 more hours to join. So at this point, there's probably about a little over 3 more hours. So if you're interested in that, message me or Tina, and we can send you the link. It is kind of a little bit pricey. I think it's $57 a month. But you can get out of it anytime you want. So if you just wanted to even join for a month and see what it's all about and get out, you can. But y'all, there's so much amazing information in there. He is so, so good. So anyway, that's just something, obviously you don't have to do that, but it's really cool. They only open up the registration 3 to 4 times a year. So it'll be several more months before he opens it up again. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there. And if nobody else has any more questions, I think that's all we have. I enjoyed this, Randy. Thanks a lot. Thanks for all your tips. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, ladies.
Welcome.
Of course.